You know, guys, just when you think maybe the world will calm down for a minute, you can get everybody to just kind of play nice and get along. Oh man, I feel like it's always something, right? It's always something. It's just never going to be calm. Something in life is always going to get crazy. Yes, Mario's also streaming. I saw that. I just got home from my daughter's softball practice. I was gonna try to pop in there for a minute, but I didn't have any time because I'm busy. I'm tired. Like, good God. I wasn't even planning on streaming tonight. I was gonna try to get some videos done. I had a lot going on. Yeah, last month it was India versus Pakistan. Now we got. Okay, well, the thing about India, Pakistan, did we really have like much in the way of conflicts, like actual? There was no actual like ground troop involvement with India and Pakistan, was there? Now we've got actual targets being hit inside of Iran. I guess they killed a bunch of their nuclear researchers or whatnot. We'll have to look at that in a minute. Dude, I'm so petrified that we're gonna get dragged into this mess. Like, please, just settle it yourselves. Leave us out of it. The issue is because alliances always get dragged into this kind of stuff. It inevitably goes nowhere good. You know, that's the unfortunate side of things. So I gotta take a minute and keep pulling up some of this stuff to talk about. So we've got a lot. It's been a very weird week, very strange week. I want to touch on this India airplane crash thing later on because I feel like I feel like there's something that we're not hearing, that we're not finding out about this whole airplane crash in India where this one person somehow survived. I feel like it's that story from back when I was a kid from 9/11. They always said that there was like one person who rode the debris down to the ground and made it down safely. I'm like, that didn't happen. Yeah, Mahindra, exactly. This whole airplane thing, which we can touch on that in a little bit here. But yeah, I was at my daughter's softball practice. She actually had two practices. This is the TMNT stream. You know, dude, if I actually had a good Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle stream, game to stream, I would. Hey, Vernum. You crashed on top of a medical college hostel? Oh, that sucks. That's awful. Oh, no, dude, tomorrow we're playing Stellar Blade. I actually was thinking about playing that tonight. Plus, there's a bunch of indie titles that I just recently got some keys for that I want to check out. So next week, I'll probably try to do a lot more actual game streams, too. I didn't feel like recording a video tonight. Tournament Fighters was an amazing game. I don't think I ever played that one. The last Ninja Turtle game I played was Shredder's Revenge. Is that the one that came out a couple years ago? That was pretty solid. Splintered Fate. I don't know anything about that one. But yeah, the one that just came out last year or year and a half ago is pretty solid game, not gonna lie. Oh, Tournament Fighters is on the SNES. Okay, yeah. No, I had the original. I had the original Ninja Turtles game on the NES. Oh, excuse me. Dude, it's that time of night. So what always happens when I get to recording videos, it's always around 9 to 9:30. I sit down, my entire day is just kind of like settling and I'm kind of processing. I make a cup of tea, I start to sip it, and then as I'm recording a video, I start burping from the tea. And then I have to stop and re-record shit, so it's pretty frustrating. Crashed, hostel, aka like rental apartments, not hot. No, I know hostel, yeah, like again, like a condo or something. Yeah, no, that's terrible. All right, so guys, the top story. I should start doing this once a week where we do like a news stream. You know, non-pop culture, non-gaming, non-Hollywood related stuff. Actual serious stuff. Yeah, no, I'm still not sold on the fact that that guy somehow survived the plane crash. I feel like that's too crazy. Like, I can't believe that that guy was actually on the plane. All right, let me go ahead and pull this up to the full screen here so we can kind of all read this together here. Now, I haven't gone through and selected like a ton of different tabs and all that. I've only got like 6 or 7 tabs open right now. So as we go through this, if something pops up, I might go ahead and, do some digging. The world's gonna get screwed. Yeah, the world is pretty screwed at this point. For me, Quill Pig, it's the tea. It's typically because at some point during the evening I'm sipping on something or I'm munching on something. So it's part of it is because my eating schedule's all screwed up due to baseball season. So I'm frequently like eating too late, eating on the go. And then of course, I get home, I want something to relax, so I'll make some herbal tea or something. So oh, Prime Minister said Operation Sindoor is not over. Is that the conflict that they have going on with Pakistan or whatever? All right, well, apparently we're going to have multiple conflicts going on in the world. We got Ukraine, Russia still going on. That doesn't seem like it's ever going to end. And then we've got, India and all that other shit going on. Now we got freaking Iran and Israel. Operation Are We the Baddies? Pakistan might hit another attack if Pakistan starts to fight back. Well, let's hope they don't. Let's hope that one just kind of fizzles out. All right, so earlier today, like not that many hours ago, Israel launches sweeping strike on Iran while Trump administration seeks a diplomatic solution. Netanyahu says fight is not with the Iranian people, fight is with Iran's dictatorship. Problem with that mentality. You can say that all you want to, and we did that for 20 years in the Middle East when we were bombing the hell out of Afghanistan and Iraq and everything else, with our boots on the ground saying we're just fighting the evil Al-Qaeda or ISIS or the Taliban. But look at the civilian casualty totals when it gets down to it. We killed something like over 1 million people in the time that we were occupying Afghanistan over the last 20 years. And most of those were probably not combatants, United Nations made Pakistan the chairman of the terrorists. The sovereign nation of Israel conducted a preemptive strike on Iranian scientists. Ollie, honestly, I don't know. I'm worried that it'll continue to escalate. Because here's the thing. This is the tough part about geopolitics, guys. The United States, sitting here from my little comfy computer chair at my little desk, not knowing anything about geopolitics personally, I kind of feel like the U.S. has put itself in a really complicated situation because we basically are the strong arm of the world where we decide who gets to have nuclear weapons and who doesn't. Obviously, we can't stop nations like Russia or China from having them. They have them, and there's nothing we can do about it. So we try to avoid direct conflict with those nations. But it's like in this situation, how do you as a nation get to tell another nation what they can and can't have? Well, it's because you determine I'm the good guy, you're the bad guy, and therefore we can't trust you with those. But at some point, Iran is going to get a nuclear weapon. At some point, they're going to have them. So now it's like us saying, we're trying to prolong the inevitable as long as possible, and in the meantime, we're just going to endorse, getting into conflicts over and over and over. Like, it's like the ATF saying, we love the dog, we're only here for the owner. Yeah, but, the ATF will shoot the dog the minute they get the chance. Let's be fair. So no, do I think that this one strike will be the end of it? Absolutely not. There's just no way. Iran can steal Pakistan's nukes. Oh my god. They've been pulling this since before the US-Iraq First War, the exact same thing. I guess the only thing left is for the ETs to reveal themselves, then every single piece of toilet paper on this planet will be gone. It's funny. I feel like any time in the last 5 or 6 years that the government wanted to distract people, they'd always roll out the footage of aliens or talk about UFOs and stuff, and it'd always be like, oh guys, look, Buzz, look, an alien. I trust Iran more than Pakistan with nukes. I probably would agree with that. I work in missile manufacturing. That's a hell of a job. That's a hell of a thing. Yeah, no sweat, Quill Pig. And have followed the Middle East and its politics. However, it's hard to see how they can escalate again without it being a war drum being pounded, which worries me. Dude, that's the thing, man. I feel like any time this shit kicks off, it's always like chest thumping, and it's people who are just trying their hardest to start shit, right? So the IDF have launched a sweeping strike on Iran following months of attempted and seemingly failed nuclear negotiations between the Trump administration and Tehran. But according to Secretary of State Marco Rubio, the U.S. was not involved in the strikes so far. You guys remember when Ukraine and Russia were kicking off, and that pipeline got exploded, and nobody claimed responsibility for it. And then like 6 months later, they were basically saying that it was the CIA and what's the British intelligence, MI6, that were like coordinating to make it look like it was Ukraine or look like it was Russia that destroyed it or some shit. Yeah. Yeah, they've earned him the real alien card, exactly. The non-proliferation, good God, I can't read tonight. Treaty Article 4 allows its signatories to have civilian use for nuclear energy, but gets ignored in these negotiations for some reason. Yeah, but Turbulent, the thing about it too is like, why can't we have nuclear energy here in the US? It's like everybody freaks out about the idea of nuclear energy, and it's like, it works in France, it works in other places. MS6 Tom Cruise. No, not Mission Impossible. God. Dude, I have never watched a full Mission Impossible movie start to finish, and I never will. Rubio said, tonight, Israel took unilateral action against Iran. We're not involved against Iran, and our top priority is protecting American forces in the region. Israel advised us that they believe this action was necessary for its self-defense, he added. Oh, that's a slippery slope. In remarks following the strike, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu confirmed we targeted Iran's leading nuclear scientists working on the Iranian bomb. We also struck the heart of Iran's ballistic missile program. Our fight is not with people of Iran, our fight was with Iran's dictatorship. But you're not going to be able to remove the dictators with one strike. Not to mention, you go after their leaders, you're going to start, again, World War III. So, the desiccated Mexican alien is still a meme even now. Dude, that was the best thing ever. Because the 3 Mile nuclear incident massively put the American public off nuclear, which is frustrating because nuclear is the future. 100%, I agree. And when I was younger, I was exactly there. I was like, oh, I don't want nuclear power plants around me. That sounds so dangerous. And then you realize it's really not that bad. It's really not. I'm all for it in the U.S., but some people aren't for it. I mean, Turbulent, like I said, I'm the same way. Like, I used to have that. Then again, I also didn't used to think I'd ever own a gun, and now I have many. All legal. Don't go after me, FBI. They're all legal. I have a permit. But that being said, yeah, I mean, people change. Your opinions can change. The way you see things can change. And honestly, after you get over some silly fears, certain things just start to make more sense, you know? Trump always bragged about it's all about national security. You know, the thing is, I mean, I wish the world were more simple, all right? If we went back to, like, the way things used to be. For example, prior to long-range weaponry, prior to even, like, the musket, you wouldn't just invade another country and be like, oh no, I'm not attacking you, I'm not attacking the people, I'm just gonna round up all of your weapons so you can't fight me because that's for my own, protection, right? You couldn't do that. Crossing a border as an army or to attack somebody to protect yourself was seen as an act of aggression. So whether or not you were doing it to defend yourself or not, it's still you invading another country. In this context, it's you launching weapons into another country or ballistic missiles, So the whole argument of I'm going to attack you for my own self-defense, it's like, it's a double-edged sword, China's investing in Iran? Yeah. No, because what's going on in LA is going on all over the country still. I mean, up here in Seattle by me, you still got a bunch of retards running around the streets. Now, I don't think Seattle has the, they don't have the stamina that other cities have. People in my state are pretty much, especially the leftists, the extreme far lefties, are very, I mean, they run out of energy really fast, right? They don't have the stamina for this. Recall California trying to shut down their nuclear plants but had to stop. I didn't realize California even had any nuclear energy. I didn't know that. No, Turbulent, it was pretty funny for a while because I think for a while California during one of their droughts was drought. During one of their droughts was buying water from my state, from Washington, because we had so much of it, you know? It's absolutely crazy.
Presents are the best way to show someone how much
Kingdom Come Deliverse,
it is like
diverse.
this wonderful thing that you can point to and say, "Hey man, I love you. This many dollars worth."
I don't want wars. US should
Hmm.
not get involved.
100% Lugia. That's where I think most people have gotten. And thanks for the 2, buddy. Appreciate you, man. I think that's where most people are. And it's just unfortunate that you still get the people who are like, oh, no, this is necessary and we need to do this and we have to back our strongest ally. And I go, look, at some point, we have to figure out a good balance between this whole idea of alliances and treaties and everything else, which I can respect. I get it. Like, there are useful alliances to have, and there are definitely useful allies. But at some point, it's kind of like when you've got someone's back, right? Prime example. Let's take a certain somebody that a lot of us know who runs a certain website covering, pop culture and gaming and stuff. At some point, you might be in lockstep with somebody. You might have an ally where you agree on a lot of the same things and you're trying to do the same thing. And every time they open their mouth and you kind of look at them like, I can't believe you just said that, but I'll just ignore it. And then you keep going on and on and on. Eventually, you have to look at your allies and go, are we really allies? Like, are we really benefiting from having an allegiance, or alliance? It doesn't make any sense. Sometimes, yeah, geek. No, I wasn't thinking so much Smash. So here's the thing. I know a lot of people don't love Smash, and I have my issue with some of the things he said and done. I get it, but at the end of the day, I'm talking more of the JDAs of the world, the people who are you realize at the end of the day they don't believe anything they're saying, and it is all entirely just for a reaction. But I can appreciate that comment too, Avernum. I get it. That state's not very self-sufficient, especially when it lights itself on fire. Yeah, isn't that funny, Turbulent? It's like the state that doesn't ever have enough water is always lighting itself on fire. But yeah, so let's take this more of like a geopolitical side of things. You have an ally who's always starting shit everywhere they go, starting shit with everybody. Ukraine wants to continue the war with Russia. And again, my kids are always asking about it, always talking about it. I'm like, well, the thing is, it's just... everyone has weird takes every once in a while. JDA is just more prone to it because it's a grift, man. Because it's legitimately just for money. It's just for a reaction. It's just for engagement farming. Dude, honestly, I had gone weeks without even thinking about him. I don't follow him on Twitter. I don't watch his videos. I don't subscribe to him. And then somebody I follow shared a screenshot of his, and then I saw on Asmongold's stream today, he was watching a video about. What was it even about? It was about Neil Druckmann. And they had taken a bunch of videos from like Hill versus Babyface and Disparu and other people, and then they put a snippet of JDA in there, and I heard his voice. I'm like, oh my god, I haven't even heard the man's voice in months. It was kind of like an out-of-body experience, Everyone has weird takes. I'd like for an economic alliance than a military one, peaceful stuff. Yeah, 100%. Smash is alright. I had to unsub because he was infesting my feed way too much. That is something I noticed, Geek, and something about that. Actually, I'm going to read Turbulence chat because it didn't pop up on YouTube. Same ally that attacked the USS Liberty. Isn't it funny that that one got deleted? I don't know if you guys could see that comment from Turbulent or not. So, Turbulent, the thing about it is, the perceived allegiance from the US or the West to Israel, it goes back partly due to the whole what happened in World War II, and of course the Judeo-Christian side of things, where people believe that it's the same group of people that existed 2,000 years ago who exist there today, which it's not. Newsflash, it's not the same group of people. I don't know. So it's very much a complicated situation. Sucks is happening in Iran. We also have problems right here in our country with immigration. Yeah, I mean, everybody does, though. That's the problem. Money's money, but sadly I have way too many projects running to grift like that. Yeah. No, so I was actually... Smash, somebody was talking about it, or he has mentioned something about it on Twitter, that basically, because I don't know if you guys have noticed, the YouTube algorithm has been brutal, absolutely brutal, the last month or so. A lot of people, not just myself. Yeah, YouTube is a bastion of free speech. Dude, I am currently streaming on Kick, Twitch, Twitter, Rumble, YouTube. And here's the funniest thing. I said for a while, you know, I don't want to do anything but game streams on Twitch. Because for years, all I did was game streams. I streamed for years on Twitch trying to stay out of politics as much as possible, trying to just not get into it because I'm like, oh, Twitch is full of lefties and I don't want to talk about politics and stuff. Then they started banning people. Then they started having people push back like Tectone and all that. And I'm like, screw it. I'm going to either use Twitch every time I stream and people can take it for what it is, or they can piss off and kick rocks. Or, you know, Twitch can ban me or whatever, and I don't care. But from now on, whether we're just doing a game stream or like we're covering news or talking about like pop culture stuff, I'm going to stream to all of them because why the hell not, you know? And if there's a certain platform that has an issue with something, just we'll deal with it the way it is, you know? I know not what weapons World War III will be fought with, but World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones. You know, I've always believed that World War III would be digital, you know? Only stream political content from all... Yeah, I don't know what kind of political content you're watching on OnlyFans, but hey, Granola, have fun with that. Yeah, Geek, the thing about Smash is he was commenting with the algorithm changing that he's basically taking more like snippets from... Were you not following before, or is that on Twitch, dude? Oh, I think that's on Twitch. Okay. I don't know which notification that was set up for, but thanks for following, Geek. Appreciate it. I know you're already following on YouTube. But he was saying that basically what he's doing now is most of his content is going to be like his live stream reaction content. It's cut down into like little 10 to 12 minute videos or something. I feel like he's panicking about the algorithm. Oh yeah, no, Lugia, I'm not going to change anything as far as like my actual videos and stuff go. I'm just at this point with Twitch, I've been trying to figure out for a while what to do with it because I hardly use my Twitch account as it is. It's pretty much only for when I do a game stream. But yeah, at this point, screw it. I mean, I'm just going to stream on all the 5 platforms while I'm streaming, regardless of what the content is, and we're just going to go with it, man. No, but I've noticed even like Hypnotic had changed his content about a month ago. He had gone from 2 to 3 videos a day to going to 1 video a day and trying to put more effort into it, like scripting and stuff. So I don't know. Is anyone here? I'm looking for glory. Hey, Gavril, you might be the only person on Twitch. I can't see my individual Twitch viewers because I'm on Streamlabs, but you love the new white GPU? I am freaking obsessed with it, man. My favorite thing to do when I come home now is to just turn on my computer and just watch it run. Because it has those freaking LED lights in it, man. And the funniest thing is when I first built my computer 5.5 years ago now, I was like, I don't want RGB, I don't need those LED lights and stuff. And then once I started seeing the builds that had them in it, and I'm like, oh, this is pretty, right? And I really wanted to get my Sapphire Pulse 9060, but that didn't have any LED lights. Well, they were out of stock. So then I got this, the ASRock Steel Legend. And I wasn't sure how it would look in my mostly black PC setup, but I freaking love it, man. It's so cool. I can't vertical mount it. My case isn't like that. I'd have to flip everything, and my case isn't set up for that. When I do the big build in a couple years, when I go AM5, DDR5 RAM, whatever the better processors and GPUs are at the time, that'll be vertical. Digital Amp Farm, just watch it do its thing. Yeah. No, I would vertical mount it if I could. All right, according to an IDF spokesman, the strike has been dubbed Operation Rising Lion. Oh, I love how they always come up with these really fun, catchy, ways of trying to basically like pretty up a military conflict. And it's really funny because you fall for it once in a while, right? Once in a while you go, oh, Operation Enduring Freedom or Operation Shock and Awe or whatever. It's like, it sounds really cool. At the end of the day, it's just billions of dollars being spent to launch rockets into a desert to blow up people. I mean, it's just, yeah. Saving up for the Willow chip. What the hell's the Willow chip? Every single PC I built was basically a monolith. Oh, nice. Anyway, how's the new card? We got an RGB whore here. Dude, 100% an RGB whore. No, so right now we don't have anybody but Israel attacking Iran. But I'm just looking at it, dude. Matt Adam, I'm thinking about the fact that we still have Ukraine, Russia going on. We've still got India, Pakistan that hasn't wrapped up yet. Now we got Israel attacking Iran. And Iran is saying that there's going to be a response. So it is a fractal design case, exactly. Yeah, I'm going to play Fortnite. Dude, no. After I got the GPU installed, the very first thing I did was I booted up Google Willow Chip. Wait. Is that a thing? Hang on a second. I gotta be careful before I just Google random stuff. It's a state-of-the-art quantum computing chip with 105 qubits. Represents a significant advancement in quantum error correction, allowing for reduced errors as the number of qubits increase. Chip demonstrates a way to reduce error rates as quantum systems scale, paving the way for building larger, more reliable quantum computers. I think that's a little out of my price range, I would imagine. I think that would be a little unnecessary, to be honest. Fractal makes good cases, but no, honestly, like my wife's case, the drop pod, you know, I'm a big fan of that one. Of course, hers is pink. I would never do pink for myself, but my wife's build is a pink and white build, so it's super cool. Oh yeah, and this weekend major protests all over America too. You guys see what freaking Ron DeSantis was saying? How basically, if you get caught in a mob of people and they surround your car, if you need to flee and run people over, they're not going to charge you for anything. I'm like, based. Okay. Trump's promise about ending wars is turning out to be a failure. Yeah. You're not wrong there. Rising Lion, Gideon's Chariot, David's Slingshot, some of the latest Israel operations with American tax money. That's just how it goes, man. Be used for generating gooning material with AI, just like how high-end PCs are used to play unmodded Minecraft. Yeah, that is Florida for you. No, what is the freaking manufacturer name of my wife's PC? Oh my god, I can't even remember. Thermaltake. And it had the fans already installed, so and didn't have to like install the fans and anything like that. So it's the Thermaltake case. It's a super awesome case. Okay, so it says Iran is closer than ever to developing a nuke. Like I said before, guys, I'm not going to be over here simping for a country that funds terrorism or whatever. But at the end of the day, it's like, what? I almost look at it like, what difference does it make? And again, correct me if I'm wrong. I like I said, I'm not a geopolitical expert at all. This is me just shooting from the hip right now. I could probably say something I'll regret, to be honest. But what I don't understand, what I don't understand is how one more country having access to nukes changes anything, really. Unless you truly believe, like in your heart of hearts, like does anybody honestly believe that if Iran gets a hold of a nuclear weapon, that they're going to launch it and that we're going to, like, it's going to be World War III or IV and life as we know it will cease to exist, right? Because there are plenty of countries that are unhinged that we have to worry about that already have nukes. At the end of the day, it's just another country, right? Just another one. At work, saving the whole world, random channel surfing. Quantum computers create a special environment that allows communication between parallel universes. I don't want to think about the parallel universes, man. I mean, freaking Marvel ruined the entire idea of multiverses and shit for me. An IDF spokesman told reporters we have no choice but to act against these existential threats to the state of Israel. Fox News' Trey Yingst reported that Israel carried out strikes in Iran, adding that explosions were heard in the capital of Tehran. State of emergency has been declared as the country braces for an Iranian response. No shit, Sherlock. I think it's the fact that they're more radical and extreme. I mean, that's possible, but I don't know. I still think about the fact that a lot of these countries are allied with other countries who hate the US. So if they really wanted to provide them with a nuke, it wouldn't be that hard. You know? I feel like this entire thing, we have to stop them from building a nuke thing is always just going to be an excuse for something else. Only North Sentinels will survive. You're probably not wrong about that. You see that crazy British kid, Miles Rutledge, Lord Miles. He wants to go to the North Sentinel Island. It's pretty crazy, right? Approximately 12,100 to 12,331 nuclear warheads in the world as of 2025. So effect. One just goes boom and the world, as we know, is bye-bye. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of my thought, though, dude. It's like, it's just one more country with just one more nuke. Watching from Los Alamos National Laboratory Isotope Production Facility. Are you allowed to tell me that? Hopefully you're allowed to share that information, Valiant Thor. Maybe there's a parallel universe where Star Wars isn't utterly ruined and Snape is still white. Yeah, not likely, man. Not likely. They probably got him in all those other alternate universes also. Direct engagement between Israel and Iran began after Tehran in April 2024 levied its first ever direct strikes against Israeli territory. Israel responded less than a week later and destroyed part of Iran's S-300 long-range air defense system. Burp again. Yeah, oh no, Lord Miles, he's crazy. He's a crazy bastard. He is a buddy with like the Taliban over there. In fact, there are many countries that he can't travel to because he's been friendly with the Taliban. And he actually wants to open like a gold mine in Afghanistan, and he's doing all this crazy stuff, funding like all these excursions all over the world. It's absolutely insane. It's just Iraq 2.0, pretty much. Yeah. Isn't Netanyahu the same guy who told us in 2002 that Iraq had WMDs? We still have yet to find any. Has he been in power that long? That's insane. I thought Maverick and Rooster took out Iran's nuclear capability on their 2022 blockbuster mission. I didn't watch that movie, man. Honestly, most like the big blockbuster films, I never get around to watching. Hey, Susano. Or a parallel universe where Hogwarts was located in Texas and the magic system is gun-based. Now that would be fantastic. Because honestly, the wands are kind of gay. Like the only part of Harry Potter, after not watching the movies ever, my entire life, up until last year, and then watching them bits and pieces with me and my kids and stuff, I liked the movies. I didn't think they were bad. I liked a lot of the characters. Love Snape, Alan Rickman, freaking awesome. But the wands are kind of gay, man. Not gonna lie, they're a little gay. He's been on and off of power over the years. Okay. Worst thing about wars is that GTA 6 might get delayed again. Oh my god. Oh man. Afghanistan's easy to take over, but it's hard to maintain power. I mean, that's that whole region, though. It's hard to maintain power, especially with like all the instability and the constantly warring different tribes of people, different cultural conflicts, religious conflicts. Wands make no sense. I mean, again, I'm a Lord of the Rings guy. I prefer wizards, like actual wizards and sorcerers, to like Harry Potter witches on broomsticks and stuff. And so a staff will always be superior to freaking wands. I miss talking about leftards, video games, woke shit. This is too real. I know, man. But hey, we're gonna play Stellar Blade tomorrow. We can get back to it tomorrow. I was literally at my daughter's softball practice. I left work and went straight there because my daughter has all-star practice and then her regular team practice because they have the championship coming up here this weekend. And then once the championship's over, it's just all-stars. So I had to go drop the boys off food here at home, run over to my daughter's practice, get her, pick her up, get her food. And like as I'm running out of my work to go grab dinner for everybody and pick her up, I'm like, can we not do this? Like, can we not? Can we just not? Sometimes Harry Potter magic makes no sense. There's a lot of things about Harry Potter magic that actually is very nonsensical. But that's a topic for a different day, you know? It really is.
Are the best way to show someone how much you care.
Dude, Lugia with the 5, man. Holy crap, man.
Point to and say, hey man, I love you. This many dollars worth.
All these wars and the release of Mind's Eye game and we still haven't gotten GTA 6. Lol rolling on the floor laughing.
Dude, for real. And honestly, the funniest thing is I've run into a few people on Twitter defending the frickin' Mind's Eye game, going, oh, it didn't have that many bugs when I played it. And sure, it's not polished, but it's a decent game and I had fun. And sure, there's bugs and glitches. Okay, you want to talk about, you want a little deviation from this? You want to talk about some bugs and glitches? Give me a second. Let me find. I just saw Hypnotic post this on Twitter, okay? You want to talk about some freaking bugs? Here you go. Why was there a fat gay person on my screen? All right. All right, here you go. Here are some bugs and glitches for you, all right?
Your character is looking so Pilata.
Did that thing? What the fuck?
Sky car just crashed in there.
What the fuck? What just happened? Why did that thing crash? Dude, things just be blowing up randomly in this game, crashing randomly in this game. It's almost like every NPC wants to commit suicide. Look at this.
Hey, stop barking. Come here. What the hell is he barking at?
Is this supposed to be happening?
All right, we'll go do that and get back to bed.
What the fuck is happening? Bro!
Cyberpunk 2077 again, pretty much. It's the exact same shit over again.
Bro,
It gets better too.
This
Just
is,
watch.
That is not part of the story. That is not part of the story. Why does every NPC...
Lugia, here's the funny thing. You said I was looking forward to that game, but I guess this game sucks. I had legitimately never heard about this game before 3 weeks ago. I can't believe that I'd never seen a single thing about it, because you're not the first person who said, oh, I was looking forward to that game, and I'm like, what game? Like, I had no idea about it until I saw some of the news, them saying, oh, you know, people are being paid to hate the game. I'm like, what game are we even talking about? I had no idea.
Want to commit suicide? What is going on? What? Did it just blow up? Oh my god, it just blew up. It didn't just blow up. Something else just blew up.
Yeah, look,
what
look.
the fuck is going on?
Off in the distance.
The cars, bro! The cars! The cars! What is happening? What is happening? What is happening right now? I'm getting scared, man. I can't even go backwards. I'm trying to go back. It's not letting me go back. What the fuck is happening? Oh my...
Okay.
Hey, Astral.
Time to see
Was
how
hyped
you
for it,
and
but
your
no,
team
once I saw the bug
got
reports a few weeks ago, yeah.
Car! What the fuck? What the fuck? No! Oh shit! Oh!
Oh, it just keeps
Are
going.
you alright?
Just keeps going. More and more
you-
cars just yeeting themselves off the side of the
God,
cliff.
dude.
I mean, look, games have bugs, okay? Games have bugs all the time. Those kind of things happen. You know, whatever. But it's gotten to the point where some of these games are just a unbelievably bad broken mess at launch. Looks like a tech demo. Pretty much. That's kind of what it feels like, you know? You can't spell? That's okay. What am I still hearing? That's my daughter talking. Yeah, the girl had to wake up to go pee, apparently. She's got the bladder of an old lady. Game will be a wonderful 3-hour supercut on Mahler's channel. Dude, the thing about games like Mind's Eye is the only people who are legitimately buying it are those who want to create content about it, making fun of it, stream it, making fun of it. Again, it's the kind of content like a really bad TV show. For example, freaking Ironheart. Ironheart that comes out on my birthday in 10 days, 11 days, I don't know, something like that. And I'm like, that's like the worst birthday present I could have ever asked for, you know? Oblivion's bugs gave flavor to a great base game. Yeah, but I think people also remember the bugs a little more fondly, because at the same time, I'm sure that there was a large percentage of people who were pissed off about the bugs of the game. Yeah, I missed a few other ones here. One open parallel timeline that allows Team America to prevent the war between Israel and Iran. Oh, yeah. That'd be pretty funny. I don't think I actually watched Team America. At the time, I wasn't a big fan of, like, South Park and stuff, but now I need to go back and watch that movie. Okay, but Lucia, are you better off to, yeah, we have the same birthday. Are you better off to release, we talk about this with baseball and softball. You're better off to have a good throw late than a bad throw early. You know, why would you release a bad broken game now just to try to beat the game that you're competing against next year? There are plenty of games that if they're a great game, you can release them simultaneously as a similar game and you can still make money off of it. Is she okay? You good? Okay. I know, she always has to pee. Hey, Sam Jackson. If I were to buy, I would just have to have the game case so I can replace it with the PS4 game cover art for my games with no case. You know, I would buy a copy of it just because of the fact that it's like Concord, because you know that eventually they're going to have to like pull the game to try to fix it. What was there? There was a game that they did that with. Was it Cyberpunk that they delisted the game for a while to actually fix the game? I think they did. I have no idea what that just said. Plans for my birthday. Work. Well. Practice. Oh yeah, baseball and softball practice. Is the two kids on the all-star teams. So, is there actual practice on our birthday? What day of the week is our birthday? Tuesday we'll have practices. Yeah. Oh, or she'll have a game. Either way. With this, the studio won't even be around by the time. That's the thing. You're better off to wait, maybe underperform for sales, but have good positive word of mouth, and then that'll carry you forward. Because an investor could look at it and say, well, yeah, you had to go up against GTA, but in a better situation, had you not had that competition, you might have sold X number of copies of your game. Whatever. Studio there is done. No C-77 or No Man's Sky come back. No Man's Sky come back. They have no time or money. Yeah, adult life, Mahendra, 100%. That's it. That's how it goes. So here's the crazy one. Israeli officials expect a missile and drone attack against Israel and its civilian population. I mean, can we really honestly be shocked? Just like you said, when you attack another country, even if you feel like it's in self-defense, I kind of feel like, the gloves are off at that point, right? Hang on, I think I got this muted. Oof. What is going on there?
He's in Israel. He has new information right now. Trey, what's going on?
Yeah, Sean, some context here to why this
Who is this non-English speaking user? I have no idea.
This morning, there was a vote at the International Atomic Energy Agency, and for the first time in 20 years, they passed a resolution saying that Iran was not complying with their nuclear obligations. Iran immediately responded to that resolution, saying that they would start enriching uranium at a third nuclear site. And so it was very clear that going into this 6 rounds of talks this weekend between the Americans and the Iranians, that the playing field was already difficult for the Trump administration. President Trump spoke earlier today extensively about wanting diplomacy to prevail, but the military option was always on the table. Now the question is how the Iranians are going to respond. I remember back in 2020, President Trump ordered a drone strike to kill a top Iranian general called Qasem Soleimani outside of Baghdad's international airport. And it sent a message to the Iranians that the Americans were not afraid.
Yeah, the Iron Dome did seem to be pretty, had some flaws, it seemed. I really doubt the civilians will be bombed. Iran always targets military targets in the retaliations. Geek, what are you even saying? That's not English. Don't think they can afford that. Hello Games was a privately owned company with like 20 people at the time. S2 is basically military intelligence. Okay.
Thank you very much, sir. You're a gentleman and a scholar.
Hey, Ramboli. Appreciate the sub. Thanks, buddy. Would history be like Israel? Well, that's one of those very complicated topics.
If they were threatening American interests in the region. Now, the Israelis have done something similar tonight, targeting the nuclear sites and missile programs of the Iranian regime. Back then, when Qasem Soleimani was killed, the Iranians responded with 13 ballistic missiles targeting a base that
poor innocent nuclear weapons program, right?
That is very different from the types of Iranian responses we have seen in recent months. Last year, in April, following an Israeli strike on the Iranian consulate in Damascus, Syria, that killed a top IRGC official, the Iranians responded 12 days later using...
Lots of countries don't like the U.S., like Iran and North Korea. See, Mahendra, this is more my point, right? Like, we can look at it, and when I say we, I'm talking about our government, because again, us civilians, us people who are not really in the know, we only know what we're being told, or what we can somehow dig and find out for ourselves, right? So then it comes down to, well, your government's telling you this person can't have X, Y, or Z, so you need to make sure that you support whatever they have to do to stop those people. Then of course, you're in the situation where if you're in the opposite position, say you're Iran, you're an Iranian citizen, you'd feel like, well, the US is the bad guy. So again, it gets really muddy and complicated.
$200 projectiles, ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, and drones. And
See, Astral, I agree with you there.
Following the Israeli targeting of the leadership from Hamas and also Hassan Nasrallah, the leader of Hezbollah, when they responded, they used hundreds of ballistic missiles and partially overwhelmed Israeli air defense systems. And Sean, tonight, that is why Israel has not only closed the airspace, canceled flights to and from this country, but they're also telling people to stay close to bomb shelters. Israeli officials say this is not a question of if Iran responds, but rather when and how. They have canceled a parade that was supposed to take place here in Tel Aviv tomorrow. They have canceled school. They have canceled work. People are being told to stay close to bomb shelters at any minute. Sirens could begin to sound across this country, sending people for cover.
Europeans ever setting foot in the Middle East was the biggest mistake. If there's one thing that I could take away from this, like ever going over there, ever was the biggest mistake.
Significant because when we get to the core of what we're talking about here,
you get past like
during his segment just a few
you get post Crusader era when you had actual technological advancements after like the Reformation and the Enlightenment and everything else. Yeah. What happened to America first? It's a good question. I don't know.
We're talking about uranium enrichment. This is part of the material that is used.
I mean, the whole
to create a nuclear
MAGA movement, the whole, Trump re-election, everything was about protecting America first, about supporting American businesses first, putting Americans' priorities first.
Military action against the regime. And that's exactly.
And then today he was talking about how he said that, they had as many as, or would allow as many as like 500,000 Chinese students in the US, and how that was such a good thing and how he'd welcome them to stay. And it's like, this doesn't sound like America first. I don't know. In my case, Middle Easterners set foot in my country and stayed there for 150 years. Oh, man. Yeah. All modern conflicts seem to start with the words British drew a line.
Context into what President
Too much to
Trump's
unpack. That Susano, that is a very fair take on this situation.
Supporting the Israelis. The Trump administration has been very clear since taking office for a second time that Israel is a key ally of the United States.
Well, Geek, it's not that much different than what Elon did and Vivek Ramaswamy did about the whole H-1B visa thing. Like, I understand the mindset of if we're going to have anybody come into our country, we want it to be the brightest and best. But then there's that whole blanket program where they were accepting people for like gas station workers on the H-1B program, and you go, that's not what we need to bring into this country. If you want to go to other countries and poach, it's like if you go to a different school and you go to recruit for your football team and you steal the best quarterback from that team or the best, athletes or whatever. Well, that's one thing. But you're not doing that by going and getting like the bench warmers and stuff, That's not the intended effect.
For the possibility of diplomacy, President Trump wanted to emphasize that this is still possible, despite the fact that there could be a military option.
No, Geek, my problem with it is the fact that our government's constantly saying that China is the biggest threat to our nation, and then they want to talk about how they want to let a bunch of Chinese people in. So which one is it? It can't be both.
Clear that they had a choice here, and this is the decision they made.
Oh, hey, Vern, I'm not gonna lie. I wish that the U.S. had castles. That's one of the things about Europe that I wish I could go visit for, Because unfortunately, our architecture doesn't go back prior to like the 1600s. Unfortunately, my stance was we needed more people. Period. Yeah, the problem is you need people who are similarly minded.
Tens of thousands of rockets.
I would say that share at least some cultural values and beliefs. Otherwise, you run into issues, a lot of issues.
I would expect it's going to be fierce. I would also suspect that the Israelis, knowing Prime Minister Netanyahu for 30 years.
Yeah, this is going to be such a freaking mess. My God. Then, of course, global oil prices soar after Israel attacks Iran. This is great. This is great because it wasn't bad enough that we still are barely getting below $4 a gallon for gas, but now apparently the price of gasoline is going to go back up. Trouble at home and abroad. It's rough out there. It's bad times. Why I don't currently have a stance is based mainly on the health of the nation. Well, I feel like we're not in a good spot right now. If I'm just basing it off of the way I am perceiving a lot of what's going on, like there's a lot of the good things that are being done, a lot of things that have been necessary that are finally being done. But we're also, I mean, guys, just look at all these performative retards that we had today. I did a video on my second channel talking about it. You had that senator that went to the DHS press conference where Kristi Noem was, made a big scene, got his ass thrown out and detained, and everyone's like, oh my god, they arrested a sitting US senator. It's like the guy went and made a scene. He literally went and, did something that you can't do. And everyone's like, well, he's allowed to question. No, you're not. If you're not a member of the media, you don't go to a press conference and ask questions. As a senator, there's another time and place to ask questions. Crashing a press conference is not the place to do it. Everyone should have known this would happen. Yeah, but unfortunately, Israel doesn't make it any easier for themselves either, or for anybody else. It's a messy situation. Persian Gulf being shut down is going to cripple a large part of the oil economy. It's so rough, dude. Global oil prices jumped after Israel said it had struck Iran in a dramatic escalation of tension. Oh, and the stock market was down today, too. I'm curious if it's still down. Let me take a look here real quick. Not that I have much money tied up in the stock market, but, a little bit of money in some crypto here and there. Oh, yeah, everything's still down. Oh, it's not awful, but it's not as bad as it was, like a month ago. That was terrible. Benchmark oil contracts, Brent crude and NYMEX light sweet, were up by more than 10% after the news emerged. Traders are concerned that a conflict between Iran and Israel could disrupt supplies coming from the energy-rich region. The cost of crude oil affects everything from the price of food at the supermarket to how much it costs to fill up your car. Analysts have told the BBC that energy traders will now be watching to see whether Iran retaliates in the coming days. I mean, they're going to. There's no doubt in my mind that they will. It's an explosive situation, albeit one that could be diffused quickly, as we saw in April and October last year when Israel and Iran struck each other directly. It could also spiral out into a bigger war that disrupts Mideast oil supply. Facing a banking collapse? That's fantastic. That's great to hear. I'm never gonna buy a house. Was quiet about that prior, however it's finally being reported on. I mean, it's been coming for a while, to be honest. Let me see here. It's in an extreme scenario, Iran could disrupt supplies of millions of barrels of oil a day if it targets infrastructure or shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. I don't know where that is. The strait is one of the world's most important shipping routes. Oh, there you go. With about a fifth of the world's oil passing through it. At any fifth of the world's oil through one body. Oh, that's crazy. This is why we need our own industries. Yes, dude, honestly, like nuclear energy and drill up in Alaska. Honest to God, it's long overdue. Don't have a good way to explain this, however, but U.S. money has to move or change hands to function. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that makes sense. And it's not moving like it's intended to at the moment, yeah. At any one time, there's several dozen tankers on their way to the strait or leaving it as major oil and gas producers in the Middle East and their customers transport energy from the region. Bounded to the north by Iran and to the south of Oman and the United Arab Emirates, the Strait of Hormuz connects the Gulf with the Arabian Sea. Oh, there you go. That's why it's so important. What we see now is very initial risk-on reaction, but over the next day or two, the market will need to factor in where this could escalate to. Head of energy research at MST Financial said. Iran can't do nothing. The first thing that they would be doing is defending their own military base. Yeah, but Sam Jackson, the weird thing is it sounds like there has been a few times over the last year or so that they have just kind of had this like pissing match, right? And the question is, at what point does Israel or anybody else in the region push it too far? Kind of like, there's no going back, Because again, Netanyahu says fighting with Iran will continue as long as Israel deems it necessary. And again, you can be pro-Israel, you can be against Israel, you can be neutral in Israel. I don't care what your position is. This right here worries me. Saying that it will continue as long as Israel deems it necessary. I mean, guys, how many nations do they need to pick fights with? You know, how many times can we, as Americans, just sit here and watch and go, okay, just hold your breath and hope we don't get involved in this one? Eventually, who's going to be the next target that causes some sort of like global conflict? You know, he's cooked. Yeah. Benjamin Netanyahu, the Israeli prime minister, told an anxious country in an early morning video statement that Israel had attacked Iran's nuclear facilities to ward off an existential threat, vowing that the battle would continue for as many days as it takes. Israeli forces attacked Iran's main enrichment facility in Natanz, as well as its ballistic missile capabilities and top Iranian nuclear scientists. We struck at the heart of Iran's nuclear enrichment program. We struck at the heart of Iran's nuclear weaponization program. We targeted Iran's leading nuclear scientists working on the Iranian bomb. We also struck at the heart of Iran's ballistic missile program. Israel's targets included nuclear facilities, air defense batteries, homes and headquarters of senior officials, weapons depots, and laboratories. The first wave of the assault also focused on senior Iranian figures. They can't invade across the Iraqi desert. They can't invade through the Suez Canal. They will launch a drone or a missile at most, probably. Not my country, not my people. I mean, that's how I generally view it. My only interest in this stuff and my only concern about it is when it draws us in, you know? Problem with fighters is they're good at it and they want to keep doing it. Yeah. That kind of way it goes. Hey, Q101. 2 likes. Are we up to 2 likes on the stream? All right, guys. Hell yeah, man. Their proxy land attack force strategy was dunked on. So it says, across Israel, people huddled in public shelters and fortified safe rooms in anticipation of an Iranian response. Israel's defense ministry declared a national state of emergency and told the public to expect Iran to fire missiles and drones in response. Yeah, probably not going to see much in the way of mobilization of actual military forces. U.S. Strategic Petroleum Reserve still hasn't recovered to pre-COVID numbers. Yeah, dude, honestly, I don't think we're ever going to get life back to prior, like what we were before COVID. It sucks. I've told this story so many times that I'm getting bored telling it again. My wife and I were, in 2019, we had been working a lot for a couple of years, her and I both, her from home and me from my work. And we were finally making some headway. Our credit was good. We were saving money. We were, filing our taxes and showing enough income that we were finally in 2020 in a position where we felt like we'd be able to buy a house. Housing market was stable, rates were decent, and then COVID happened, and nothing has been good since. Like, we've had moments in life where things are okay, things kind of even out a little bit, but we've never gotten back to where, in my mind, where things were prior to COVID, and I don't know if we ever will, which is just awful. I hate thinking about it, Douglas Walton's What is Propaganda and What Exactly is Wrong with It? Well, dude, Susano, I'll just have to add that to my reading list. My ever-growing reading list that I'm never getting around to reading. Justifying the government's decision to launch the attack, which caps more than 20 months of war between Israel and Iranian-backed groups like Hamas and Hezbollah. Mr. Netanyahu said Israel had to act promptly to eliminate what he called the existential threat of a nuclear-armed Iran. I told our security leadership we have no alternative but to act swiftly. We can't leave these threats for the next generation. If we don't act now, there won't be a next generation. I disagree. I mean, you can have concerns and fears about Iran having nuclear weapons. I understand that. But, eventually it's going to happen. Okay, how do you stop them from getting nukes? Well, you say, you're going to stop them from developing them. All right. What happens if they don't have to develop them? What happens if an ally eventually arms them with nukes? There are people saying we need to give Ukraine nukes, okay? What if one of these countries was crazy enough to do it? What if Ukraine didn't have to make their own nuclear warheads from scratch? I enrich the uranium and all that. What if they just got them from an ally? What then? Are you going to destroy the entire country to prevent them from having nukes? You're going to kill everybody there? Don't cry for me, Palestina. Oh, man. I think back to 2017, and I find myself missing it. Things seemed so much simpler back then, and it's true. I mean, Lucia, it is financially and culturally true. Although we still had freaking before George Floyd, we had who was it? Mike Brown. Was it Mike Brown? The hands up, don't shoot guy. That turned out that was complete retarded BS. My mentality is it could be worse. More of a stoic view. Just keep grinding. I mean. Geek, I'll stop grinding when I'm dead, man. I mean, that's, that's just reality. That's just life. I'm just saying it just kind of blows. There are plenty of good moments, but it sucks that things have gotten so freaking difficult ever since. Ukraine has already lost. Israel is its own place. It wasn't part of a larger USSR, and that's another argument to be made. Again, the Ukraine thing gets really muddy because of the fact that they were part of the USSR and they share a lot of cultural heritage with Russia. So it makes it a lot more confusing, Yeah, Geek, just gotta keep grinding, man. Mr. Netanyahu says Israel is facing difficult days, but great days ahead. He also repeatedly invoked the Holocaust as a reason not to treat a nuclear Iran lightly. Oh boy. I'm not gonna touch that one. I'm not touching that one. But what's really weird timing on all this is this happened, what are we at, like 5 hours ago, 6 hours ago now? They struck Iran. This is from earlier today. This is from 5:30 this morning before all this happened. Netanyahu's government survives a vote to dissolve Israel's parliament. Okay. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's government survived an attempt to dissolve Israel's parliament early Thursday morning, with most of his ultra-Orthodox coalition partners joining him in voting against a bill that would have forced them to register for military service while the country is at war. The vote was the most serious challenge to Netanyahu's government since the Hamas-led attack on southern Israel on October 7th, which was the biggest security failure in Israel's history. That's quite an understatement there. The bill's failure means that no other piece of legislation to dissolve parliament, called the Knesset, can be submitted for at least 6 months, shoring up Netanyahu's embattled coalition. The ultra-Orthodox parties are furious that the government has failed to pass a law exempting their community from mandatory military service. The issue has long divided the Jewish Israeli public, especially during the 20-month war in the Gaza Strip. So he's dealing with right now, basically they're trying to dissolve his government. Hey, Joshua. Their history, language, and culture is more connected than pretty much any other country in Europe. Yeah, I know, it's basically... And there's also a shit ton of Russians living in Ukraine, as I understand it. Like, I'm pretty positive that there's a large percentage of Russians in Ukraine. Most ultra-Orthodox legislators agreed to vote against the bill after Foreign Affairs and Defense Committee Chairman Yuli Edelstein said that he and the ultra-Orthodox parties have reached an understanding on the basis of a new draft law, which they'll continue discussing over the coming week. So, again, it's politics. It's everyone having their own interests. But again, ironic timing that this just happened earlier this morning. And then all of a sudden, okay, time to go strike Iran. It's like once he had that out of the way and knew that he was safe for 6 months, he got this going. Nation state launch mass drone attacks that changed the nature of modern warfare, as no nation has done that prior. Yeah, Susano, that is a scary thing to think about. Like, and as these drones get faster, more lethal, it's just going to get even uglier. Like, I've always said, as brutal as medieval warfare seems, and it was barbaric and brutal, there was a certain kind of honor and nobility to it, given the fact that other than archers who still had to be a pretty decent shot to hit something, you had to kill your combatant in hand-to-hand combat with a weapon in his face, versus where now we're just, nuking people from orbit, missile strikes, drone strikes, and it's getting crazy how good these drones are at taking out targets. It's absolutely insane. Largest number of ethnic Russians being the oblasts that were annexed. Right, that's the basis of Putin's claim. And I'm not saying that he's right or wrong. I'm just saying that that is a thing that actually exists, is there are a large percentage of Russians, I do believe, in Ukraine. That's why he's not leveling the places he's liberating, right? Nuke issue has always been the elephant in the room. Someone's going to eventually bring it back to the front because so much of the landscape can change with one launch. Yeah, but my point still goes back to the idea that, okay, so they're working so hard to prevent them from, again, enriching the uranium to make their own and developing their own missiles and stuff. But a simple, like, an ally could simply just equip them with nuclear warheads. I get it. You'd still have to somehow get them into the country, and they have ways of detecting these things and stuff, but I'm just saying crazier things have happened. I haven't processed this month nor last month. Susano, I don't even have time to process what's happening right now, man. You're all good. Okay, don't even worry about it. There's so much talking about this whole 2020 thing, how times have changed and how things have just kind of escalated at a unprecedented, level. Like, things are moving so incredibly fast these days that I don't know how any of us keep up. Like, if I put my phone away for a week and didn't go on the internet for a week, I don't know how I would get back to like normal life. Like, when my phone crapped out earlier this year, I still took like a tablet to work with me so I could actually like stay up to date on stuff. So it was rough, but I could at least, scroll the news, scroll Twitter. I could kind of see what was going on. Sure, I couldn't text anybody, but it was fine, whatever. But like, if I just unplugged my brain from everything going on for like a solid week, I don't know how I'd ever get back to normal life. It'd be crazy. I think it just doesn't hit me reading the reports because I'm just reading text. Well, yeah, rather than actually trying to think about it, it's a lot. Casualties were pretty limited back then compared to what you can get in modern day combat. I mean, well, yeah, just look at the amount of people who died in the world wars, okay? Going back to World War I, World War II. And with World War II, when technology got better and made that 20-year jump with, machine guns and fighter jets, or, not fighter jets, you know what I'm saying, actual airplanes that could, combat planes, it just, the amount of casualties between World War I and II was, I want to say, tens of millions more in World War II than one, if I'm remembering correctly. If it's going to happen, we're in the best position. Can you imagine what would happen if Biden was still in charge? But Black Cat, you're assuming he was ever in charge. I mean, we all know that he was basically just chilling there. They had the auto pen going, and he had no idea what was even happening around him, man. Jesus is getting back, bro. I mean, there have been a lot of people who've been like, Jesus is coming back, soon. And it's like, well, I think the problem is people have this idea in their mind about, their time versus God's time. And again, I don't think that anybody gonna know, to be honest. Crazy deadly back then. We just get more efficient with it nowadays. You don't see Iran using such terms. I want to look at the world, even though I'm very cynical and not black-pilled, but I'm very much, I'm a realist. I'd like to look at the world with rose-tinted glasses a little bit and say, you know what? I don't think anybody is crazy enough to want to nuke anybody else or to actually pull the trigger, to actually push the button. Now, I know that there are some groups of people who would. Again, like the extreme fundamentalists, like Islamists and stuff. Absolutely. I mean, if they believe that martyring themselves is going to give them 70 virgins in heaven and all that nonsense, then sure. Those people would be crazy enough to do it. But in general, I'd like to think that there's not a single government on this earth crazy enough to do it. Like, for example, Saddam Hussein, everyone thought that he was the one that, we have to take out Saddam because he's this major threat. That man was not a religious Muslim. That dude was such a hornball. He had like posters of like Farrah Fawcett in his palace and shit. He was not an actual devout Muslim. He didn't want to martyr himself, The DPRK would. I mean, maybe in a situation where they felt that they were going to be like overthrown, possibly. Yeah, they could be one of the few nations stupid enough to do it. But I don't see them doing it from a fundamentalist, like, extremist perspective. Like, again, the sacrificing themselves for, for Allah and all that. It's more of that whole, well, screw you. If you're going to take us out, we're going to take you with us kind of situation. So I think that's a little bit different. No, but this whole airplane crash, guys, this was crazy. So I saw something about this morning, and then they said somebody survived, and I'm like, there's no way. So there was an Air India crash that I believe was, I don't know if they'd already taken off and then they were landing. Were they landing at another airport in India, or had they just taken off? They had just taken off. Okay. Can't possibly believe that with everything going on haywire, that all these countries are not going to get extreme. I mean, that's true, Black Cat. Like I said, for me, that's just, wanting to think more positive than I normally would, because I tend to be more of a realist, you know? You were on an airplane yesterday, not Sam. I will never get on an airplane ever again. I swear to God. So, the wife and I took our kids on a vacation last year, which we never do. We went to Arizona for 4 days, and we flew there, and then we flew back. The flight back was a little bumpy, and it was a late night flight. So, of course, it's dark. You can't see anything. That always kind of adds a little bit more tension in my mind. And then all this other shit happened over the last year with the helicopter and the plane colliding, planes just crashing randomly. And it's like, dude, I'm not ever again getting on another plane, ever. You know, the video looked like he didn't use the takeoff flaps. Turbulent, I feel like maybe it's more that we were just aware of it. Like, you guys remember the East Palestine train derailment, right? When that happened a year and a half ago, I think it was now, something crazy like that. Maybe it's been just a little over a year. And all of a sudden, the news was covering every time another train derailed. The reality is, I don't think that there was an increase in train derailments year over year compared to what we normally would see. It's that for some weird reason, now we're hearing about all the ones that actually happen, right? Boats and airplanes are dangerous. The reality is, flying is still safer than being in a car, right? Statistically, you're more likely to die in a car crash. Yeah, turbulent. The DPRK Samson option, essentially, yeah. So yeah, it was right after takeoff. Yeah, 241 people, but somehow one dude survived, and I still don't believe he was actually on the plane. Opens up old wounds, so don't like flying, get massive bruising all over my body. Yeah, I just, I don't ever want to get on a plane ever again. And I wasn't scared to fly. Like, when I first flew, I was like 17. And then I flew a couple times after that, and I got super fine with it. No big deal. I didn't have any problem with it. And I don't like heights. But when you're on a plane, it's like, it's so high. You have no control over it. So it's a little bit different than just being like 3 stories up or something and looking over the rail. So once I had kids, my fear of flying went up like exponentially, right? I mean, your fear of just general things like in life goes up once you have kids and you have concerns about what if something happens to them, what if something happens to me, those kind of things. Just those, you can't avoid those, you know. I don't fear the plane, I fear the pilot. Fair enough. But hey, but technical difficulties can still happen. The plane can still have an actual malfunction and go down for whatever reason. So it says an Air India passenger plane bound for London with 242 people on board crashed into a medical college after takeoff Thursday in the northwestern city of Ahmedabad, officials said, in one of India's worst airline disasters in decades. Single passenger survived the crash, according to a senior Indian official. The airline said there were no other survivors. I still don't understand how that one guy survived. Off topic, but good job, shift up. Oh, 100% Joshua. No, I don't usually do much like in the way of news streams. I did when the whole Trump assassination thing happened. Okay, I'll be headed to bed in a little bit too. Don't worry. And then of course like the election coverage and all that, and it's fun to check in on what's going on in the world once in a while. But no, with all this crap happening today, I'm like, I just want to stream and talk about this stuff because I have I'm on mental overload with all this insanity, you know. The Panther and the Oilers have to fly from Miami to Edmonton like 7 times and none of them crashed. Exactly, I get it. People fly all the time and nobody ever crashes, you know. I get it. You fly all the time, sometimes 11 flights. Oof. Future prediction for the gaming industry? More of the same, I'd say. You're still going to see crap coming out, although less and less of it, because anything that's coming out 26, 27 has been in the books for 3 or 4 years at that point, which means it's in development right now. And anything in development right now was started a couple of years ago, at least in the initial phases of it. So you're still going to have some, $200 million games that you scratch your head and wonder what they spent all their money on, and probably some other flops and duds too. And the thing is, people are flawed, people make mistakes, so you're always going to have projects that don't come out the way that they intend, whether they were ill-conceived or not. So I just imagine we're still going to have a lot more of the same, but hopefully what we're going to see too is more of that single and double A success, like those indie games and stuff, you know? More Unreal Engine crap. Yeah, we're gonna see a lot more of that. That's gonna happen a lot. That guy's gonna get Final Destination for sure. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it doesn't help that this is increasing at around the same time that Boeing offed in Minecraft. All those whistleblowers, yes, 100%. Focus on video games, good. It's looking good, at least on PC and Xbox. Yeah. Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of AI assisted crap, unfortunately. All right, so it says, what do we know about the victims? And Air India said that there were 169 Indians, 53 Britons, 7 Portuguese, and 1 Canadian on the flight. Part of the plane fell on top of a dining facility at a medical college, killing at least 5 medical students and injuring nearly 50. See, okay, you want to talk about fear of flying? One of my biggest fears is not even being in a plane and having it crash. So there's a small airport near me that's small. It's big enough for like maybe like a private jet, but not nothing bigger than that. And all the time, because in this state we have quite a few Air Force and military bases and stuff. There's helicopters and planes always going over my apartment, so it gets loud. And I'll be laying in bed at night. It'll be like almost midnight, maybe a little bit after, and some military plane or helicopter will do some training exercise in the area, and it'll just shake the entire apartment. And my biggest fear is like something crashing and falling through my apartment ceiling and killing me. That's one of the things that I'll actually, be concerned about. Yeah, actually, I didn't see the Xbox showcase. I was super busy that day. I watched about 2/3 of the Summer Game Fest. Guys, I'm hyped about Mortal Shell, too. I know that Mortal Shell was not everyone's cup of tea, and a lot of people probably have never heard of that game or played it. I liked Mortal Shell because I thought it was a really cool Souls-like, without using the term too, without overusing it. It was like Dark Souls for dummies, but it had its own aesthetic that was pretty sweet. And the sequel looks sick, man. I'm actually really hyped about Mortal Shell, too. No, nothing revolutionary being made in AAA that I've seen. Yeah. Unreal Engine 5 feels really bad to play with. All the games using it seem to find some reason to crash. That's legit. That's for real. Yeah, Lugia, better remakes. Can we actually get an official Nintendo Ocarina of Time remake? Is that ever going to happen? Mortal Shell is kind of hard for a Souls bro. Oh, I didn't think Mortal Shell was hard at all. I thought it was an easier Souls game. Biggest fear is a woman pilot. Where's DB Wild? Come on, that's the kind of comment he'd make, but Tekla, very good. That one gets a, yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, the aesthetics of Mortal Shell is awesome. Trailer, the second one's one of the best trailers in recent times. Okay, thank you, Geek. I thought so. Atomic Heart 2 seemed nice, but I'm biased since there was a lot of booties and boobies in the trailer. Nothing wrong with that. And besides, I liked Atomic Heart, but twice now I've started the game and basically gotten a few hours in and just haven't continued with it. It's the craziest thing. I don't know why I have such a hard time continuing with Atomic Heart. The lone surviving passenger is Vishwash Kumar Ramesh. Vishwash. I can't even pretend to pronounce that properly. Who reportedly walked away after the accident and appeared to escape without life-threatening injuries. He was disoriented with multiple injuries all over his body, but he seems to be out of danger. You would think that you were just like freaking invincible at that point. I swear to God, like, how could you not? So is there a scene of him walking away from the... I know someone has it on Twitter. Lone passenger walked away. He went to a nearby ambulance. The airline said he was a British national of Indian origin. He was disoriented, but he seems to be out of danger. So Ramesh told him immediately that after the plane took off, it began descending and suddenly split in two, throwing him out before a loud explosion. I thought that they dispelled that. I thought that they said that he was buried in wreckage or whatever. Another medic said Ramesh told him immediately. Hang on a second. Video broadcast by Indian news channels appeared to show a bloody Ramesh walking away from the crash site, people running behind him. He had his boarding pass with him in the hospital, told local newspaper Hindustan Times that he saw bodies and parts of the plane strewn around the crash site. When I got up, there were bodies all around me. I was scared. I stood up and ran. He was traveling to London. He said he only told him that he's fine, nothing else. Like, dude, that's the luckiest freaking man. Unbreakable, thank you. Yes, that is the luckiest son of a bitch ever to exist. Yes, he's going to have to be worried about somebody trying to Final Destination him for sure. Yeah, the Cube, there's ILL or something, I think the name of the game's called. When do we get Galaxy Rush Remaster? I have no idea. KOTOR Remake? Yeah, the KOTOR Remake is going to be really interesting, because that one, is it still Saber Interactive? And Saber Interactive broke off from, I believe it was Embracer, and they got rid of that crazy feminist chick that was writing it, so the remake for Knights of the Old Republic could still be good. Like, I'm not giving up on that one yet. It could still be really good. But no, Mortal Shell is worth finishing, and I'm going to tell you why. Because also there's like a roguelike unlockable thing, and all the weapons you can unlock and all the upgrades are super cool. Weird amount of finishers, like punching enemies and shit for a Souls-like Mortal Shell. Well, again, I don't know how different the sequel is going to be from the original. The original, in my opinion, was much more similar to a Souls-like, except for the fact that instead of parrying, timing, and stuff, it's more about timing, like when you harden the character and all that. But I thought the game was really cool. Nintendo Virtual Console and PC would be such a great thing that'll never happen. Yeah, there's a lot of things Nintendo could do that they're never going to do. Indies have me eating good? Yeah, there's a lot of good indies. There are a lot of good indies. Hire Chris Avellone to work on a KOTOR remake. Joe Biden wake up. He's not waking up, man. He's not waking up. That's not happening.
My fellow Americans, I want to take a moment to address some of the hateful shit you've been talking about me. Many of you have said I am suffering from brain worms, or that I have applesauce for brains. Well, I won't mince words, so here it is. Fuck you. You're all a bunch of End of quote. Repeat the line. So enjoy President Cackles or President Booty Juice? I really don't give two fucks anymore. Biden out.
Dude, I haven't played that clip in so long. I made that one right around the election. I have not played that one in forever. But yeah, somebody made that AI of him talking, and I just put it with the music and everything else, and it's so good. PS4 is still going strong 2025. That's funny because the PS5 is the one that everyone says that there's no games for. Hey, fight me financially. No, so here's a funny one, guys. Here's a funny one. Getting back to less, serious, more lighthearted news. I'd actually believe that's real if he was less coherent, right? Didn't threaten us to a push-up contest. Yeah. I saw this one today, and I kind of want to make a video on it, but that'll have to be tomorrow. And that'll only be if I have time before I stream Stellar Blade tomorrow. And I don't want to not stream Stellar Blade, but I might push that stream back to Saturday and just make a couple videos tomorrow night instead. I haven't decided yet. But this one here, when I saw this article, I'm like, all right, this just feels off. It feels like the media is trying to shill for an $80 game because that's the new norm, right? So this is from GameSpot, and it says, it feels like The Outer Worlds 2 is more of the same, and that's okay. The game plays and looks much like its 2019 predecessor. So I read that initially, and I'm thinking to myself, why would you ever say an $80 game, again, because $80 is now the norm apparently, thank you Nintendo, and then say, it feels like a game from 6 years ago, and it's $80, but that's okay, right? Now, I can understand that there are some games that hold up really well from 8-10 years ago even. I mean, there are some games that I could probably go back 12 years and really enjoy still. But does that mean that they're worthy of an $80 price tag? That's the great question there. Probably skipping 2 because of the price. Yeah, Pete Buttigieg. I never played Outer Worlds. I didn't play the first one, so I don't know. I don't know how good or bad the games are, They called Avowed a success in the Xbox stream, and they were glazing the upcoming Outer Worlds 2. Well, the reason that they're glazing it is because all of these price increases are pushing more people to understand what a better value like the Xbox Game Pass is. And I was criticizing Game Pass a couple months ago because there was absolutely nothing I wanted to play on it, and then a whole shitload of games came out, and it's like, okay, if you got Game Pass now, you get your money's worth, right? Yeah, Outer Worlds is $80, right? It's kind of mediocre. I didn't play it, but you know, there's plenty of other games I haven't played either that I'll get around to at some point. Not the glazing of this problem, it's that they called Avowed a successful title. Yeah. Ah, yes, you got this Outer Worlds too. This is fine. All right. So I haven't even looked at the article yet. This could be a nothing burger. It could be the funniest damn thing I've ever read. So Outer Worlds 2 is one of 3 games coming from Obsidian Entertainment in 2025, 2 of which are RPGs. And remember, one of those was Avowed, which was... we all talked about how Avowed, the art director, was insane. How the game director was insane. She was like, oh, glitches are fun. That's all part of the fun experience, right? So there was a lot of controversy around Avowed. But at the end of the day, the game was just meh, you know? Nobody even freaked out over the fact that there was like gay stuff in the game, or there was like one character that talked about having like an abortion and stuff, and nobody really even made videos freaking out about those kind of things because it's an RPG and it's okay if you have those elements as long as you accept that it's a role-playing game. Most people I think just kind of turned a blind eye to all that because the game was just so mid. You know, it was just so boring. Hey, Cage! Yeah, no, I didn't play Outer Worlds at all. Wouldn't price my game higher than $40 after Avowed. No shit, dude. The Clockwork Revolution trailer, I have not seen that one. It's basically like Fallout or Elder Scrolls with no one really bothering with modding it. Yeah, basically. Dude, I've said before, I'll say it again. There are games like that Tainted Grail that just came out that I'm sure are far better than Avowed. And that's a $50 game, I'm pretty sure. I don't know. Hell, I got a free copy of the premium edition of Avowed that I will probably never play. I got a copy of that from Microsoft through Keymailer, and I'm like, I gave them no content commitment that I didn't have to commit to making any videos with it, and they still sent me the key. So that tells you that they know the game underperformed. When they're sending out free premium keys with no requirement to actually make content, that's bad, right? So that being said, it says Outer Worlds 2 is a sci-fi adventure, and the way that it leans into the genre by allowing and encouraging players to have their characters take on flaws is an interesting way of differentiating an experience from the troubled Chosen One energy often assigned to fantasy heroes like the protagonist of Avowed. Unfortunately, exploring these flaws was not the focus of the 40-minute demo I played at Summer Game Fest. Instead, the demo focused on combat. I don't jump into games like Outer Worlds 2 for the shooting, so admittedly, I did not walk away from the preview all that impressed. That's not a knock against the game. The combat's serviceable, but it was disappointing to play a segment of the Outer Worlds 2 that felt like it was just the first game revisited without a chance to experience any of the new stuff. Well, careful what you wish for, because Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 was more of the same from the first game, but they added the gay stuff that people hated. So you got to be careful what you wish for, all right? I'm an Xbot, and in my main channel, I was the one person that said Avowed is trash. Yeah, dude, honestly, I mean, I should have as much Xbox loyalty as anybody. Like, I had Nintendo's growing up, and then I bought an Xbox, and then I had Nintendo's and Xboxes, and I was all big onto my Xbox until I built a PC, and then I had Game Pass. And now I look at consoles and go, you can buy whatever console you want. You can have whatever brand loyalty you want. I don't care. I'm just going to look at it and say, in terms of their streaming services, Xbox Game Pass is far superior to the PlayStation Plus program or whatever Nintendo Switch has online. But PC, you don't have to pay to play your games online. So why would you not just play PC instead? You know, it's just a smarter way of going about it. Articles, a bunch of cope. That's what it seems like, you know. Ninja Gaiden 4, that could be cool. BioShock is literally my favorite series ever, so I've had my eyes on Clockwork ever since they first showed it. I'll have to look up the trailer for that. Oh yeah, Chronicles Medieval is going to be the new Kingdom Come without the gay stuff. That's kind of what it looks like. And again, to be fair, Geek, I was not the one that was like, oh, there shouldn't be any gay options in the game. I looked at it and said, if you're going to do it authentically, okay. And you're going to show the consequences for what happened if you make that choice in the game, okay. But why the hell did it have to be Hans? That makes no sense. Then you find out it was to please the shippers, and then the community behind Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Something that I've noticed over the last few months that got really cringe was even if you accept it as an okay option, it just sucks the way that they did it. Like, the shipping community behind Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 was so unbearably cringe. They call it Hansry, like Hans and Henry blended into one, like J-Lo and Ben Affleck were Bennifer. They've done the same thing with Hans and Henry. I'm like, at this point, I don't even want to touch Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 anymore. I'm over it. Even if the game is great, even if you can ignore that one part of it, I'm just like, I'm sick and tired of all the conversation around it. You know, as someone who pays for his own internet, console companies asking me to give them money for servers that they aren't managing have me turn to PC gaming. Turbulent, you know, that's 100% it right there. If I could PC, I would. Xbox is a segue to PC. And KH, I respect it. And I have no problem. I have no problem with people like using a specific console over another one. I don't care. I just don't participate in the console wars myself, you know. The original designer of Dishonored and Prey, Rafael Colantonio, is working on a new game that he said is a mix of Fallout, New Vegas, and Dishonored. Oh, interesting. Very interesting. All right, so far from what I've played, if you liked The Outer Worlds, then you'll like the sequel. If you weren't a fan, the demo I played did not convince me that The Outer Worlds 2 will be for you. Most of the same isn't necessarily a bad thing, though. The Outer Worlds is superb. The gameplay doesn't need to change all that much. Outer Worlds 2 can just be a Marvel Spider-Man 2 kind of sequel, where it's just more of the same that came before, because what came before was very good. And I think that there's something to be said for that. If you're... Okay, so Halo 1, for what it was very good. Halo 2 didn't try to change what made Halo 1 good. They just added better features like the dual-wielding weapons, better graphics, you know, better gameplay in general. So, you know, it was just one of those things where it's like, they didn't try to reinvent the wheel. They just made a better wheel. After playing the demo, I sat in on a group Q&A with a few of the developers and asked the Outer Worlds 2 creative director Leonard Boyarsky about how the game responds to choices and builds on the original concept of playing as a flawed protagonist who might not get everything the player wants. I think it's back to the reactivity, Boyarsky told me. If I start doing stuff that my companions don't like, they're going to let me know about it. This is part of the problem with like Dragon Age Veilguard, and I think Avowed to some degree from what I've heard, is that these RPGs didn't allow any actual player choice. That a lot of them were simply, you know, well, you should have the option to tell your companions no, but don't be mean about it, basically. Supposedly we're getting remakes of Halo. Why get a remake of Halo? What's wrong? We have the collector's edition, or the what do they freaking call, the complete edition or whatever. That game still plays fine. Look, okay, my daughter, she quit about 8 hours into the first Halo campaign. I can't get her to go back and finish it. I guess it's just not enough excitement for a 10-year-old girl. I don't know. If I've ever killed his whole series, you better not think part 3 is going to be remotely sell. I don't want them to make a part 3 at this point, dude. I'm just over the entire thing. Like I said, there's been so many patches and updates and stuff and DLC for, not DLC, updates for the second game. I'll eventually go back and play it. The game runs really well. You know, the voice acting is very good. It's like, it's got a lot of those things about RPGs that make a game very good. I'm just kind of like over everything about the game, if that makes sense, you know? Outer Worlds was meh, didn't click for me. Best time was being stoned and refusing to hit start because I love the title song. Hey, you know what? I'm sure that probably helped, right? He says, basically at a certain point, they're going to be like, if you do keep doing this, there's going to be a problem. Each one of them has their own story arc that you can do your best to complete. It's like, am I going to try to pull this person away from their faction? If I go into a faction headquarters that this person's part of and I start shooting people, I can't expect them to just not say anything about it or just help me kill everybody. Let's see. Boyarsky indicated that The Outer Worlds 2 does a pretty good job of reacting to your narrative choices, often even ensuring its toughest choices can't be circumvented. So they're really trying to sell this game as like the big RPG that people have been waiting for. Let me see. You still have the OG PC Halo Combat Evolved laying around somewhere. It's just fun and I love it for it. I mean, yeah, so I have my Steelbook for Halo 2 somewhere that had the additional disc for the multiplayer maps. I think I've got that down here. God, that thing is so beautiful. The Steelbook for Halo 2 was phenomenal. It was so good. And the game was... Halo 2 is still one of my all-time favorite games. If I was to put my top 10 list together, Super Mario World or Super Mario Bros. 3 and Halo 2 would both be on the top 10 games of all time, in my opinion. Obviously, there's going to be a Legend of Zelda game on there somewhere. The media started to damage control before the game releases. Red flag. Oh, the media is starting to. Yeah, 100%. Considering that Phil Spencer seems to be an RTS fan, Halo Wars might get a reboot. I never. The Halo Wars were the only Halo games I never played. I played every other Halo. I played ODST. I just didn't play Halo Wars. I wasn't sure how I'd feel about RTS Halo. You know. My prediction is that they'll make a new Halo game that's multi-platform. Well, oh no, Halo is already going to PlayStation. I don't know if you saw. They announced that a while ago. I thought that the Halo games were getting ported to PlayStation. Actually stopped Halo CE when I got the Flood part. It got deathly boring for me. Okay, the Flood did get a little boring. So you have to go back. You have to go back and play it co-op, and you have to play like again the complete edition, the revised version. Because yeah, when you switch back and forth between like the original Halo graphics and the revamped graphics, yeah, it's like night and day. You know, the original graphics were pretty rough. I'm not gonna lie. Really, some reporters asking games to make easier because they're bad at them. Yeah. Oh, man. Let me see here. And even then, that doesn't always work. They might be waiting for you at the ship when you come back and say, I'd like to have a word with you. Let me see here. Just talk about moral ambiguity and all that. That seems cool. Also sounds in line with the first game, albeit perhaps more clear-cut in how devastating the consequences of a choice can be. I'm eager to see this firsthand and have a chance to play with the mechanics and features in the Outer Worlds 2 that seem to be brand new. Yeah, but it is interesting, though, because this game, it sounds like they don't really do much different from the first game, and yet they're charging $80 freaking for it. That's the craziest part. I haven't even seen a trailer for this yet, so I'm curious what this looks like. Halo game where everyone dies, Halo Reach. And Reach is one of the best Halo games. Like, not even a question in my mind.
That the colony is in disarray. We didn't come to Arcadia to get bogged down in pointless warfare. We came to spread freedom and liberate.
All right, I don't want to play this. That settles it. Like, I'm not even 30 seconds into the trailer, and already I'm like, nope. I have no use for it. It already seems lame and gay. Geek. Halo was Unreal and UT never had a console after the NES, NES. Oh, you know, Vernum, that happens too. A lot of people played PC games back when I was still playing consoles, before I had a PC that could play a game, you know? Yeah, they are going to run cover for it because Avowed shit the bed so hard, no question there.
For profit. But this pesky Earth Directorate agent is mucking things up. They're not alone in doing so. And they think they can just choose how things play out.
I hate her voice. Did I see that Gears of War is going to be on PlayStation? Yeah, and I didn't even know that there was a Gears of War remake coming out. I have a free copy of the Gears of War Reloaded because I guess I owned the original Gears of War Remastered or whatever edition it was. And so I got sent a code from Xbox today for the Gears of War Reloaded that comes out in August. I'll probably stream it or play it. I was never much of a fan of Gears of War. I played like 2 of the games. They're all right as games go. I just never really cared for the games myself. So, cartoonish colonizer spreading freedom. Yeah. I feel like we've been here before.
They could stop us from stealing the Protectorate's brainwashing technology, which we need to improve our market share. What if this stranger aligned with the Order and that world computer of theirs? That could be the key to closing the rifts that threaten the colonies.
Corpus from Warframe, another gay game, and I love Warframe, but it's super gay.
Wiped from the face of existence, or better yet, brought to our side through the power of capitalism. Now, let's get out there and buy our way to victory.
I'm yearning and yearning for you. My heart and red and blue.
I don't even hate the graphics. Here's the thing about this. It's not even like I hate the graphics or anything. I just don't... I'm not seeing the appeal. I don't understand how anybody would look at this game and go, oh, sure, take $80 of my hard-earned money for this, whatever the hell this is that I'm looking at. I don't get it. I legitimately don't see it, you know?
Every last bit of my way, every last bit that I'm paid.
Oh no, Avernum, it's not so much the individual characters of like the frames and all that. The storyline very much has like a finding yourself kind of gender confusion element to it. On top of the fact that the entire studio is like massively, like everybody at the studio is like super pro Pride Month, pro gay, pro trans, pro this. I feel like the whole Tenno storyline almost has like, it's almost like trans coded if you like read between the lines. That being said, I don't care what the people who believe, you know, who made Warframe, what they believe or whatever. They made a fantastic game. Warframe is an awesome game. I spent a few hundred hours playing that game. It's a great game. But they very much get into like all the gay virtue signaling and everything else.
Every last bit that I save is intended for you. Although the cost may be high.
The other thing though is I don't typically do like the whole tongue-in-cheek kind of gameplay, like the Borderlands, where they have like the kind of comedic parts of it and stuff. I don't usually play those kind of games. Like I like my games to be more serious than that. I don't know. Yeah, Cyberdelic, this is yeah, Outer Worlds 2.
An adventure made for capitalism by capitalism.
I don't understand how you can try to be so blatantly on the nose, tongue in cheek by going, oh yes, capitalism bad. Our game's about how capitalism's bad. Now buy our $80 game and support capitalism. That's the whole are we the baddies kind of situation, you know? Miss Old Obsidian. I mean, here's the thing, guys. I don't have, because I didn't play that many games growing up, we had every one of my consoles had like 10 games because we were broke and couldn't afford them. My mom hated video games. It's extremely on the nose. I didn't have any allegiance to any studio or any developer because for me, it was like I might have one game from one developer. You know, that's about it. Marxists can't make a game about capitalism. Marxists can't do anything subtle is the problem. At least not nowadays, not modern day Marxists. So the funny thing about it is like, I don't have any like allegiance to go, oh, this one studio, this one developer used to make all these games I love because I didn't have that many games. I have so many more games now as an adult that I don't have time to play than I ever had as a kid. Like hundreds more than I ever had as a kid. It's crazy. Yeah, the only reason this game exists is because capitalism. I don't know, but these games, these kind of like where they try to take more of like a satirical approach, more of like, again, the tongue-in-cheek crap. I don't find it enjoyable. It's just not my style, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, Cyberdelic, a lot of us, because gaming was a niche thing and it was a very, like, it was super expensive because, again, the distribution costs, everything was physical, everything had to be released, ready to go, all patches, all updates, all fixed. None of that. There was no internet, you know? So these boomers who try to be like, oh, but you used to pay $100 for a video game. Yeah, bitch, because I owned that. I still have those in my garage in my game tote. You can't take those from me, you know? It's like, that's why they were so expensive. Don't miss any studio. Exactly. That's kind of like where I'm at. There might be a couple studios. Like if I was to be nostalgic about Bungie back when they first made the first Halo games, sure. Halo 1, 2, and 3, and ODST. Bungie made all those fantastic games. And Reach. Bungie made Reach. And that was the last one, I think, before Halo 4. But you know, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna cry about it because the one studio that made this Halo series that I loved is not what they once were. I mean, times change, people change, you know? Guess what? Things that I loved as a kid aren't as good now because ingredients change and the way things are made change. What are you chewing your butt for? Oh, I gotta walk you. You probably need to pee. Say a woof woof. What? He argued it was a critical part that led to his end vision. Oh, we're talking about Marx. Yeah. Yeah, none of this. The devs either retired or they were young enough that they went off and started their own studio, or they got poached by somebody else who wanted to find experienced developers, and they got better jobs at other studios that were more serious, you know? Oh yeah. All the CD Projekt Red. I mean, most of the old devs are gone. A lot of them went on to the one that's working on Dawnwalker, and they Me Too'd out the dude who made NV into a thing in 2015, and the studio went downhill afterwards. Yeah, that's always the way that shit goes too. God, the Me Too days were crazy, man. Those are some wild times. And it's not that I think that necessarily that everybody was lying about it. It's just there were so many women that were, or who brought up claims that were like 20 years old, and you go, why didn't you say anything at the time? Oh, that's right, you got paid off. Like, okay, you know? It's just a bad look. All right. Yeah, he's a good puppy. He's a pain in the ass, but he's a good puppy. He needs a haircut. Oh, let me get the camera back up here. He's getting very, very shaggy, very moppy. So his hair is just kind of going everywhere. I don't know what part of his breed, because he's a Shorkie poo, so he's a Shih Tzu Yorkie poodle. I'm not sure which specific part makes him so shaggy, but that's the part that is really annoying, because every few months he has to get shaved down. Let's see. I'm not actually sure who's there at the moment. Probably should shut up. I know who was there during the first Outer Worlds, not now. Chris Avalon left his own company in 2015, and then in 2019 won a lawsuit. Yeah, no, I remember that. I remember that. Actually, Chris Avalon was the one that was telling people when the dude at Obsidian, the art director, was, you know, saying how he only hires black people and he wants the black people to replace the crusty old white guys at some point. Chris Avalon was advising people to, if that they had applied to work at Obsidian, to hire a lawyer and, you know, sue them. No, I remember seeing that. Yeah, he thinks he's cute. 20 years old and Me Too ranges from the worst of the worst actions to a minor overreach, like it shouldn't be lumped together. That dude, Cyberdelic, that's the thing. Is the Me Too movement, even if it was on some level well intended, it led to where we are nowadays, where a lot of men are scared to even approach a woman because of how badly it all got lumped together. It's insane, you know. Let me see here. Platonic is where old Rare devs moved to. Platonic, I don't even know what they've made recently. I'm terrible with developers, though. I'm terrible with studios. Unless it's something where we know, like Concord, Firewalk Studio, something that I've covered in the news extensively. A lot of times I'll forget which developer, which studio makes which game. A wiener dog Chihuahua mix. Dachshund and Chihuahua. Oh man, two of my least favorite breeds. Maybe it's cute. I will say, I was never a fan of poodles. Ever. Not a fan of poodles. And then my mom got this guy. And then she temporarily had a job as a flight attendant. And then she had to quit that because she realized that there's no money in it at all. She couldn't retire doing that. And at that point, he became my puppy because she couldn't watch him anymore. And it's fine because he was already obsessed with me at the time, so it kind of made sense, but I wasn't planning on getting a dog again yet. My pug I'd had for 13 years passed away a couple of years ago, and I wasn't planning on replacing her for a while, but he's a good doggo. Smells, but he's good. Never know if the employees that matter are even employees or not. Yeah, he's a good boy. All right, guys. I'm gonna hit the hay. I have to get up early for work tomorrow, and then I have my first official team meeting as an assistant coach on a freaking all-star baseball team. I'm beyond scared shitless. I'm like, I don't know that much about how to coach kids. I've been helping coach teams for about 5 years now, but this is all-stars. Like, this has got me scared shitless. I'm like, I take this stuff so seriously. I'm like, I feel like I don't have enough knowledge. So, but the coach knew me already. He asked me to help out. Remember when the boogeyman of gaming in the 2010s was all the SJW stuff? Now it's all DEI. What's it gonna do evolve into next? That's a good question. I don't know. The Me Too thing is why I have profound trust issues when it comes to women. I don't have anything against women, but it takes a lot. Dude, I get it. I get it. So my kids have never done All-Stars before. This year, 2 of my 3 are doing All-Stars. My daughter has her championship this weekend. They're in the driver's seat. If they win one game, that they win the whole thing. If they lose, they face a double elimination, and they have to win the second game to win. My boys are both out. They both lost. So it's kind of the way it goes. Baseball is a lot harder to get to the championship. A lot more teams, a lot more competition. But now at least my oldest kid, he's on an all-star team, and it might last 2 weeks, or it could last 2 months, or God only knows how long it lasts. If they keep winning, then they keep going on, and you guys will never see me again. Well, no, it's like weekend games, and the coach, our practices are only go to like 7 at night or whatever, so it's not that bad. It's just I'm gonna have to get to work super early so I can leave work early like 5 days a week to help with practices and stuff. Lays around all day with his bud who's a spot hound or whatever she told me. I love dogs. Dogs are awesome, guys. I have 2 cats. They're like, you know, fantastic also. But I've always been a dog person, you know. Would remember that the internet's not real life. Oh no, trust me, I know. The internet is definitely not real life. All right, guys, I'm gonna hit the hay. I appreciate y'all for jumping on for kind of an unorthodox stream, but like I said, I just kind of wanted to shoot the shit about everything going on in the world right now. And hey, we even managed to talk about some video games and stuff. And so my plan tomorrow is maybe we will just stick with tomorrow night for Stellar Blade, or I might push that back to Saturday, and that'll give me some time tomorrow night to make some videos. I don't know. I'm going to kind of play it by ear. I'll put it on YouTube and Twitter and Discord and all that when I figure it out. But yeah, thanks for the awesome turnout, guys. You guys have been phenomenal tonight. I appreciate y'all for hanging. Yeah, you guys have been super chill. Even talking about some of the more divisive shit, you know, real life conflict and war and famine and shit. Yeah, the world's insane. If you win all the stars, we'll celebrate on the stream. No. No, but you guys can celebrate with me. We could do that. That would actually be fun. Maybe I'll do that. We'll wait and do the Stellar Blade stream Saturday after the game. I've already told the girls, you're going to win the first game. There's no losing the first game and having to win game 2. We're not playing 2 games. I can't take it. So, all right, guys. Have a good night. It'll either be